focus on a couple of things. I'm going to focus on one is the state of mind, to recognize the state of mind. And the other thing I want, when we ask someone, or when you ask yourself, what are you looking for? You may say, well, I'm looking for happiness. Well, how many types of happiness are there? So today I want to explore this understanding of what's called the ladder of happiness. This understanding that comes from Indic thought of how there are different levels of happiness, that once you know, then you can, one, judge yourself where you are, and more importantly, also move to the next level, so to speak. So, whatever happens outside, whatever happens, whatever we perceive, everything that happens, everything that we experience is experienced in the mind. Yeah. Do we all agree on that? That all your experience is experience of the mind. Like, for example, say you're watching this session, and so you see my face, maybe you see the image around me, etc. All of that, now you would infer from that that where is this device that you're watching from, and you would point to your device and say it is the computer or the mobile phone, etc. And it is at a distance from you. And you would be right in saying, yes, that device is 6 inches away from you, or 5 feet away from you, or whatever it is. But actually, the device isn't there. The device, the light hits that object then is reflected through your eyes into the back of your retina, and the brain does its magic, and the mind then conjures up with a meaning and an understanding of what that is, right? So actually that device is in your mind. Do you understand what I'm trying to say? It's saying that all that we perceive, everything that we perceive, everything that we experience can only be experienced within ourselves. So what this means is, in fact, that mind is where you is the crucible for both pain and pleasure, of distress and peace, of stress and de-stress, of fear and harmony. So the mind is the crucible of this. And therefore, to understand some of the background to this can really help us and aid us in these kind of changes that we are now starting to experience, or have been experiencing over the last few months. Now, I'll pose a question out there. 8 weeks of mindfulness meditation, actually 8 weeks of any structured meditation, done through a disciplined practice, will change the neuroplasticity, will change the brain's chemistry and the neurocircuits. In other words, it changes the brain itself. 8 weeks of meditation, right? 8 weeks of practice. Doesn't mean that you have to practice all day, half an hour, 40 minutes in the morning, and the same in the evening. And 8 weeks of that will do the job. What do you think 20 weeks of panic and fear would have done to the neuroplasticity of individuals who fell into that particular mindset? What do you think 20 weeks? If 8 weeks can change the neuroplasticity in anyone's brain or for meditation, what would 20 weeks of fear, paranoia, threat, restrictions, isolation, social isolation, etc., what do you think that would have done to your brain itself? And I feel there will be, if we were living in an enlightened age, a civilized world, this is definitely not civilization we're in. If we lived in a civilized world, we would then recognize that inducing such a long-term emotional response on any living being, it could be an animal, a pig, a dog, whatever it is, if you bring 20 weeks of constant fear and threat, then you will change that animal's understanding, behavior, and for human beings, its behavior, attitude, sense of self, seeking security, etc., etc. And it is for this reason the regular meditation practice is vital in the current state of the paranoia, confusion, and stress that's been induced. Over the next few months, we will all begin to experience, not necessarily with ourselves, but people that we know around us, symptoms which correspond to post-traumatic stress disorder. Now, the question I want to ask is, if someone is deliberately is being damaged on the assumption critical threat, and it was discovered that this wasn't necessarily the case, then should those individuals who have been executing such draconian measures be held to account? And maybe in an enlightened world, that will happen. Maybe in an enlightened world, that will happen. So we have a choice in looking at things in a critical way, as I've always said, or just going for it. So let's look at the 5 types of minds. So the first type of mind, or a type of mind, is the dull mind. It's called the tamasic mind. It's the mind that is lazy. It's the mind that can't be bothered. It's that not being able to bother. It's that vegetative state when you just completely exhausted, vegetative state, unable to process anything. And it's that lazy, heavy, dull kind of mind. And we've all experienced that one day or another. We all experience that. The second state of mind is a mind that gets preoccupied by something and becomes restless. It's like a monkey jumping around, up and down, up and down. It's restless. And the restless mind, so wherever the mind goes, the body's physiology follows. So if your mind has been restless, then your body's physiology has become restless. Your hormonal changes. So think about this. Your thoughts determine your hormonal activity, your thyroid, your adrenaline, the whole system within you, the endocrine system, ovaries, estrogen, progesterone, testosterone, all these different hormones are determined through the body's chemical system. And fear can create a trigger where certain hormones are triggered and certain are not. Now, what that demonstrates is that if fear can do that, anger can do that, excitement can do that, then your thoughts change your physiology. So wherever thoughts go, that's where your physiology goes. So if your thoughts are now engaged in fear, in panic, or engaged in a certain sense of calmness, and things are the way they are, all is as it needs to be, that kind of acceptance space, then it'll have a different impact on your physiology. If you are, on the other hand, anxious, fearful, stressed, then it'll have a different impact on your physiology. And depending on which one it is, one will lead you to illness and disease, the other one will lead you to health and well-being. Now, your body does not need to be functioning at 100% in order for you to experience health within, well-being within, right? So the first state of mind is that dull one. The second one is the one that's bouncing around like a monkey. It's the one that is agitated. It's the one that's restless. Then the third type of mind, we can say, is the mind where we are now exercising our intellect. And so say we have a problem to solve, right? Not an emotional problem, but say a practical problem to solve. and we exercise that. The mind is occupied with that. All great scientists have had these moments, right? Where they're occupied with a particular question, and then eureka, there we go. They have an insight, and that insight gives them a state of changes their internal state. They feel gratified, they feel happy, etc., etc. But it's a positive engagement mind. It's a mind that is being used positively. So we can use this sometimes in work. We do this, but it's a positive mind. It's the other two, where it's restless and where it's dull. Well, these kind of mind states can have really negative impact, not just in the quality of our life and our relationships, but our health and well-being. So the third one is where we become intellectually engaged in something, a problem, mathematical problem, science problem, engineering problem, finding the right recipe, getting whatever it is. It really doesn't matter. But it's that intellectual engagement. The fourth one is the one that we experience in meditation. It's when the state of mind becomes settled, peaceful. It becomes not sleepy, but aware. It's almost like it's in between sleep and absolute awakeness, but it's definitely not the sleepy mind. It's a mind that we can say is a flowing mind. It allows things to flow through them, right? So this is the fourth type of mind state. Extremely health inducing, both in terms of internal and external. Internal, I mean your mind, your mental health, your emotional health, and your physiological health, which is then the body health, right? The fifth type of mind is a mind that is known as nirodha. It's a mind where we get absorbed. Now, this mind of absorption is a mind that can genuinely, it's called zero quantum state, right? It's a measurable state in which both pain and pleasure, dukh and sukh, become one. And as soon as that happens, the mind has gone into a state of surrender. What do I mean by that? It's the ego. The ego recognizes existence for what it is. Beyond that, and there is an acceptance, a surrendering. We can go into the whole ego thing in a different session, but it's an extremely well-defined, elegant understanding that comes from the Indic worldview about our internal space. And if we understand this, it can help us make meaning in all sorts of things, but also discover what we're about. So nirodha being the fifth one. So it's absolutely critical to recognize that the mind is where we experience different levels of happiness, because there are different types of mind climate. The internal climate is different. So there was this lazy climate, there was this monkey climate, which is all over the place. There is this intellectual engagement, really trying to get into something, trying to work it out. There is the meditative one, and then there is the nirodha one. Our thoughts are influenced by what comes in, sensory, right? So now I'd like to just kind of touch on how these five states of mind, some of them also correspond with the five rungs of the ladder towards what you'd call from happiness to anand. From happiness. So happiness, where there is happiness, there can be unhappiness. Anand is this non-dual state. It's the fifth state, right? And it's a state that we can relate to through meditation quite often. So the first type of happiness that we get, and this is the lowest rung, this is like base level, is sensory. Watching something, people might get gratification out of violence. They might get gratification out of taste. So think of the difference. The body is hungry. The body doesn't necessarily care about the taste. It just needs to fulfill that energetic depletion with something that can give it the energy, right? So the body isn't really bothered, provided it is right for the digestive system. However, the tongue differentiates on taste. So it can have different kinds of wine, and it will think each one to have a particular merit or not because of taste. Yeah. So the first basic level of happiness comes out of senses. Listening to nice music, watching something beautiful, those kind of activities, being entertained, sports, etc., etc. But it's all to do with the senses, absolutely basic. And at this level of happiness, people will try and fulfill the senses with all sorts of different sensory activities in order to feel that happiness, base level happiness. The second level of happiness is to do with thoughts. Now, these could be plans, these could be ideas, these could be, you're planning a beautiful garden, you're planning meeting someone, something that is positive, productive, and leads to a conclusion of some sort. Even fantasizing is pleasure that is derived by the thoughts, not the senses. It's the thoughts, right? Desiring something can also be, it's an internal space, so it gives you a different kind of happiness. So there is sensory happiness and there is thought happiness. Then there is a third level of happiness, which is to do with intellect. Again, you will notice the correspondence between the mind and here. Now here, so you're pursuing a problem, you're pursuing some great intellectual problem, whatever it could be a life crisis, it could be something as meaningful as finding a recipe, or finding your ancestry, tracing your lineage, whatever it could be. But it's that engagement. And that engagement, that occupation in something, work, something, that occupation in that, gardening, cooking, anything that is practical and also uses the mind to direct the practice, that's a third type of happiness. So we've had now sensory happiness, thought happiness, and now this intellect and practical activity happiness. The fourth level of happiness is when we serve another, when we do something valuable for another. We help another, we give someone who's hungry something, and that joy in them allows us to feel a sense of gratification, happiness, a sense of not an achievement, but a sense of something of worthwhile. Yeah. So that's the fourth state of kind of happiness. And this selfless giving, because emotions don't work like intellect, where 1 and 1 equals 2, and 5 take away 3 equals 2. It's not like that. It's not intellect. Emotions work, whatever emotion you give out is what you get back, because it's a frequency, right? So if you are angry and sad and you're out there displaying those in your everyday activity, then those people around you feel that, and they will avoid you or not, depending on where they're at. So whatever you have, and if you give joy to someone, if you give selflessly without the expectation of a reward, that has its own kind of happiness. And this is exploited by charities, particularly some of the dodgy ones that are going to come up soon. So it's important to recognize that the act of selflessness, act of giving, and we've recently seen this in practice through the wonderful efforts of Paul and Nuala with the New Flame Center. Weeks and weeks of just selfless, productive giving, and this is a form of happiness. It's a mature form of happiness. It's a happiness of a particular level. And then obviously the fifth state of happiness, happiness is that which comes with meditation, samadhi, nirvana, becoming one, etc. So hopefully that was of value to you today. And so what we'll do now is we will hop into our meditation and come out of all our mental space and see if we can touch awareness and appreciate its qualities. Appreciate the qualities of awareness. Appreciate the fact that you have a life where you can experience this. So if you're ready, just close your eyes, close your mouth. Make sure your neck is slightly loose. Just shake your shoulders a bit so they're not stiff. And as you breathe in, bring your focus to yourself. Notice your body as best as you can. Try and get a sense of the whole body if you can, or as best as you can. Notice anything dominant in your body, like a sensation, a pain, an ache, a tightness, an itch, a discomfort, because you're more likely to notice discomfort than comfort. Now bring your focus to whatever you're sitting on, and first begin to notice how you are held in place. Allow yourself to become aware of the space you're in. Notice whatever you're sitting on. Become aware of its location. Notice that you're held in place. You're embedded in this moment and in this time. Wherever you are, you're embedded in the moment of now, and you're embedded in the space you're in. You can't be anywhere else. Your mind can think about other places, but you cannot be anywhere else. Wherever you are there. So become aware of where you are. Now bring your focus to the sensations where your body contacts with whatever you're sitting on. Notice those sensations as best as you can. No judgment. Bring this awareness up towards your hips. On your next breath out, bring this awareness to your thighs. Take your time. Get a good sense of your thighs. No need to rush. Bring your focus to your knees. On your next breath out, gently bringing this focus down your legs towards your ankles. From your ankles, become aware of your feet. Just the whole of your feet, as best as you can. Notice the soles of your feet, as best as you can. Come back to your chair, wherever you're sitting on. On your next breath in, bring your focus up your back so you become aware of your lower back. Next breath in, bring your focus up towards your middle back. Next breath in, bring your focus up to your shoulder blades. Now come to your shoulders. From your shoulders, move your focus down to your elbows. From your elbows, move your focus down towards your wrists. Become aware of your palms. Bring your awareness to your fingers. On your next breath in, bring your focus to your eyes. Notice how gently your eyelids are closed. Notice the darkness that you have awareness of. As you look behind your eyelids, allow this part of the body to soften and relax. Bring your focus to your mouth. Notice your tongue. Allow it to soften. Notice the sensations on your tongue. Notice the sensations on the roof of your mouth. Sensations within your mouth. And as you breathe out, allow your face to relax. Once again, bring your focus to your body. Sense it as best as you can, as whole as you can. Bring your focus to your chest. Notice how you're feeling right now. Settled, unsettled. Peaceful, not peaceful. Fearful, anxious, or tranquil. Calm. Notice how you feel. Does your chest feel tight or does it feel open? Just the intention to smile will open this part of the body. On your next breath out, begin to listen to the sounds around you. Allow the sounds to come to you. Follow the sound of this bell as far as you can. as far as you can. Gently bring your focus. Notice how you're breathing. Breath to breathe by itself. Simply watching the in-breath as it comes in, the out. Stay with your breath. Notice how you're breathing. Stay with your breath. Whenever you find that you're on the breath, you've started thinking, gently come back to your breath. Notice the start of your in-breath and the end of your in-breath. Start of your out-breath and the end of your out-breath. Start of your in-breath, end of your in-breath, start of your out-breath, end of your out-breath. Stay with your breath. Stay with your breath. Bring your focus to your out-breath in particular. Follow it all the way till the end and see if you can notice that tiny little gap, the pause before the in-breath begins. Following every out-breath all the way till the noticing the tiny little pause before the in-breath begins. And with every breath out, you go deeper into the present moment. Notice how you're breathing now. How does your breath feel?  。 Is it long or is it short? No need to make it short. If it's short, no need to make it long. Things are the way they are. Breath flow fast or does it flow slow? Smooth or does it feel rough? Does your breath feel warm or does it feel cold? Does your breath have a sound? Try and listen to your breath as best as you can. Listening to your breath as best as you can. Arrow, like a laser beam. Listening to the in breath as it comes in, listening to the out breath as it goes out. The more intently you listen, the deeper you go in the present moment. On your next breath out, once again, just open your awareness to all the sounds around you, including the sound of your breath. Listening. And we're going to listen to the bell until we begin to merge and immerse ourselves in the silence. Just follow the bell. Notice the qualities of your experience as best as you can. The stillness, the timelessness, the silence, peaceful, tranquil, settled, connected to your very source. Grateful to have the experience of now, the gift of now. When you're ready, gently bring your focus back to your breath. Notice how you're breathing. On your next breath out, expand your awareness to include your whole body as best as you can. And as you breathe in, bring your focus to the sensations wherever you're sitting. Notice you can sense your thighs all the way down to your feet. Notice that your back is still straight and upright. Your shoulders, arms, and hands are relaxed and comfortable. Your eyes are still closed, your mouth is still closed, and your face is relaxed. Coming back to your breath. Breathing in, notice you can sense your body. Breathing out, you can sense your body. Gently bringing more and more awareness to your body. Breathing in, you can sense your body. Breathing out, you can sense your body. When you hear the next bell, use this bell to draw a few deep breaths in. Gently, when you're ready, opening your eyes, bringing some of that peace back with you. Take your time. Thank you very much for joining us. Keep your mind positive. Appreciate the gift of life. Appreciate all that you have. Appreciate the gifts that others have. Be grateful as much as you can be for everything that has come to you in your life. And if we maintain these kind of attitudes, then the quality of our life will appear to change before your very eyes. And rather than living in that fear and chaos, find your peace in the storm. Thank you very much. May you be happy, may you be healthy, may you be peaceful, may you be safe. Always be safe. Know that you're looked after. वाहिगुरु जी का खालसा, वाहिगुरु जी की फतेह।